Healthy Church Initiative. We've been talking about this for many months, and we voted on it back in early December. And we are looking at going into a new year. I'll move this aside. We're going into a new year, and Bill is our coach. This is it right here. Our coach, huh? Yeah. You clap now. You wait. No, I'm kidding.
No need for that.
One of the things that, for me personally, that I appreciate about Bill, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, is I did not want a pastor for a coach. You can get in trouble and blame me for that, but I did not want a pastor, because pastors, including Pastor Bob, we get set in our ways. I'm just admitting it, okay? If you don't believe me, go into my bathroom and look at my bathroom drawer. My wife always laughs, so I have to have the toothpaste in one place, the toothbrush in a certain place. You know what I'm saying? I wanted somebody from the outside as our coach. Bill brings that experience, and he also has a pagan cultural background, which is great for our area. And he's going to bring some fresh ideas that are not set in pastoral ways. So on that note, obviously the first question in our outline is, who is Bill Lewis? Okay? Talk to us.
Of the three questions, this was the hardest one. I don't like to talk about me. I just really don't, because I don't want that to be where the spotlight is. But one thing I think I want to clear up a bit is this coming from the east thing this morning. It strikes me because my wife, Joni, who you'll meet someday, I'll bring her here with me sometime when we're together. Joni has what she describes as the jingle bell gene. She gets it, and our house is the kind of thing that I look at this, and I was teasing Diane, wow, that's amazing. I could see my wife doing something like that. And she has a number of nativity scenes around our house, 11 in various places.
Wow.
From very, is Yadro a word, I think? There's a Yadro nativity, to the ones that our grandchildren play with. And I was helping her put out the Christmas decorations just a few weeks ago, right after Thanksgiving, and I thought I had set up the nativity scenes quite nicely. Major mistake. My consultant, Joni, said, those wise men, they're not coming from the east. And I had never thought about that, but every one of her nativities has the wise men coming from Brooklyn Park to our home. So yes, I live in Maple Grove. I was telling Tom and Carol, this is really fun for me because it's an hour and 10 minutes from door to door. Whereas in the case of some churches I've had the pleasure of working with, it's been down around La Crescent, Pipestone, Hibbing. You'll hear a little bit more about that in a moment. But I look forward to being you, not just for the logistics piece of it. Some things I think, if I were you, that would be interesting for you to know about me. If I were to tell you what I believe in, it's very ironic that you started with the Apostles' Creed today, because that centers my life a lot. I believe in God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and all the rest of it, because I do think I haven't always been that way. I've discovered that a little bit too late in my life for my purposes. I'm glad that younger people have an opportunity to see it sooner. So those are some of the things I believe in. I also want you to know that maybe my proudest accomplishment is 41 years of Joni. And she would say there are a couple of good ones in there somewhere. But I've really enjoyed my time with my wife, Joni. We have, I'm kind of semi-retired right now. She'd like me to make sure we stay away from wiener water soup for dinner, and that I continue to have a little bit of an income along the way. You'll hear some about that too. We have 5 granddaughters, no grandsons, and they're all under the age of 5. Oh yeah. So Christmas was quite a bit of fun for us this year, and we're very blessed by that. I'm a lifelong Methodist. I grew up in a Methodist church in central Iowa. My father was a farmer, except for a 3-month swing when I was a Presbyterian. Right after I was married, my wife took me to, she was Presbyterian, And we were there, and then all of a sudden we were relocated professionally 3 months after we were married, and I've ended up being a Methodist all of my life. Something I'm very proud of is I was one of the founding members of Crosswinds United Methodist Church in Maple Grove. As you're going into the cities, it's right off of Weaver Lake Road. We've been in existence for 26 years, and I can remember the very first meeting talking about it. Something else that would be good for you to know is I'm very involved in my community. I've been on our park board for 20 plus years. I do volunteer work with Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge, a real passion of mine. I lost a brother to alcoholism about 10 years ago. And I also am very involved with the church itself, where I have the pleasure of attending. Professionally, some things that might be good for you to know. It sounds like I can't keep a job, but I have worked with some marvelous organizations, ones that you would know of. People like Procter & Gamble, Pepsi, Frito-Lay, Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, a little restaurant chain called Buffalo Wild Wings. Maybe you heard of them.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff. Look at me. And Cargill for about the last 10, 11 years. And now I have a consulting practice that I do a lot of leadership and organizational development around. Last thing I think that I would tell you would be important for you to know about is, as it relates to the Methodist Church, thank you, Pastor Bob. I am not a pastor. I'm just a person like you trying to do my best to make a difference somewhere. And this is a place where God has kind of positioned me to do that. I do work with the Clergy Leadership Academy. These are new pastors that have a lot of energy, but maybe could use some support on their development. I teach at Dakota Wesleyan University virtually out of Mitchell, South Dakota, a class for nonprofit leadership. I was invited just last year, and I don't make a lot of noise about this, by our bishop to join the Board of Ordained Ministry. I'm one of 3 lay people on that. And then finally, I think the most important thing for you to know about Healthy Church Initiative and my role with it is this is the 8th church that I had a chance to consult with, and the 3rd one that I've had a chance to coach and be in support with for the time that we're together. But just like you, I'm a lay person. I'm trying to do the best I can. I will be, you'll really love some of the stuff I have to say sometimes, and sometimes you'll twist your head and go, that's a little confusing, and we'll have a chance to explore that a little bit more. I don't know it all. I won't know it all, but I know a lot of really smart people that can help us too. And so that's a little bit about myself.
Now, Bill, you said that you worked for the Pepsi organization?
I did.
Okay. I didn't even know that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, being with the Pepsi, can you bring Pepsi cans into the
I can.
All right.
I
like you already.
I have
like you
connections,
already.
and one small claim to fame, with Frito-Lay, if you're a Cheetos fan,
Oh, yes.
I was one of the 4 people on a task force that came up with the idea of Chester Cheetah. And so it ain't easy being cheesy. Something. So I've had a lot of fun, Bob, over my professional life.
That is really cool.
Thanks.
So, as we move along here and we're invited to the altar, the big question is, okay, we voted on this Healthy Church Initiative thing, and we did it on good faith, and what in the world does it mean for us as, we'll get to the I part of it, eventually, the individuality of it, but what does it mean for us as Grace Church in this next month, this next year, this next this next month, this next year, what does it mean?
Yeah. I'm shaking my head because I've learned early and often to make this point. If you hear anything from me, I want you to hear this. This is not an intervention. This is not a you're broke and we're going to fix it. It's not, there's no magic pixie dust. It's just an opportunity for you to take what you're doing already really, really well. You're doing so much really, really well, and make it more. Just kind of advance it a little bit. There are going to be no light switches where we turn things on or off. Think about a rheostat where we just kind of keep dialing it to be better, to the best we can, because God's got great plans for us. When I think also, Bob, about this Healthy Church Initiative thing, the key word is healthy. You are a healthy church. And if we were to be hooking you up to all of the things that medical, your dials would be in great spots. Yeah, you might have a tweak here and there, And that's all we need to look at, is what are a couple of things, and you saw that in our recommendations. There was nothing there that scares me at all. There's nothing there that we can't think about doing. And there's nothing there that should cause any of you angst or heartache or what you're going to be letting go of. That's not it. It's what you have an opportunity to go to. The other thing that I think would be important for you to mention is there are some tactical next steps I want you to be aware of. We're going to be meeting 2 weeks from tomorrow night with the leadership group, and it will not be in a secret little room somewhere, and there'll be no colored smoke coming out of any chimneys. It's going to be around how will we work together? How will we start our work together? I've learned that it's very important to do that before you just get busy with figuring out things. So we're going to spend some time with those fabulous leaders you have, making sure they feel confident and comfortable about the road. Because if they're not, you're not going to be. And if they're not, I won't be. So we're going to slow down to speed up. We're going to spend some time as a group thinking about how we're going to work together. The biggest thing we're going to do to start with is prayer. We need to be in prayer. I don't know necessarily if we're going to form a special team to support prayer for the Healthy Church work, or if we're going to tag into something you're already doing today, but it will be foundational. It will be, because God's got this. We just get to kind of help it along. We want prayer to be at the center of what we do. And you hear a lot of, this is a non-pastor moment, you hear a lot of preaching about prayers at the center and stuff. I'm telling you, I've seen where it is with churches that have done this. I've seen the difference where they say it, but you don't see it. And we're going to see it here. That prayer is at the center of what we do. It makes it a lot more fun along the way as well. So we're going to get busy looking at things in a couple of weeks. We're going to look at the strengths, the opportunities, what the recommendations were like, and set sail. Those are the next steps for us.
And one of the things I want to pick up on, I love the word healthy church initiative. We sometimes get confused, like, the conference must think we're really bad because they got to send somebody here to fix us. Folks, this is something we were handpicked for because of healthy, not because of some other reason.
Right.
And I just want to emphasize that, and as a pastor who happens to be a Christian, I love the prayer. I hope that we get foundational. And I really mean that. I understand we're praying that. I understand that. But I hope we get foundational in what I call breakthrough prayer. Because when I pray, and I don't do it as great as I should, but when I pray, days are better, focus is better, life is better. And there's no way that I can ignore the fact that that coincides with prayer. So that's something exciting about it.
I agree.
So the last question, as we're invited to the altar, and this gets a little more now, we're flying as a church, as a group, and now we're going to come down to that I part of it, including me. And when I say, what can I do, I'm not just talking about me as a pastor, you as a coach. I'm talking about all of us. What can I do to help this team, this grace, take off? What's in it for me right now as I'm invited to the altar?
I think there's a couple of things that you can be mindful of. Pray. Pray and pray. If you're good at it, terrific. If you're not, equally terrific. Just do it. Just find a little moment during your day to be thinking about, as Pastor Bob mentioned, the leaders that are in our midst and all of us that want to make a difference. A second thing that you can do is advocate. Advocate for the possibilities. I don't have very many original thoughts. I just grab stuff from other people. And one that I heard that has really stuck with me is, instead of asking, well, why would we do that? Ask, why wouldn't we try that? And just think about that for a minute. Instead of having a mindset of why would we do that, well, why wouldn't we at least try that? Don't have to. Maybe that's where this whole aspect of giving things a chance to dial that rheostat begins. So advocate for that. Support. Support can be hands and feet and actual actions. Other support can just be giving somebody a pat on the back and thanking them for the efforts they're making. But the last thing I would leave you with is that I don't know what it's going to be for each of you. We'll discover that as we go, but there'll be an ask of many of you to do some things, to try some things. Just be thinking about the part you could play. I don't know how it works for you, but oftentimes when people ask for volunteers, some people very courageously just have that wiring that they step forward. It's kind of like that old trick in the Gomer Pyle days of, please, if you would like to do this, please take one step forward and everybody else takes a step backward and you're left there. Let's try not to do that. Let's try to think about how we can step in, because God's got this. We get to have the fun of going through it.
Amen to that, and emphasizing as I bring it down to a close now as we come forward, let's be in prayer. The I part of it is part of the team, and it doesn't have to be, Pastor better not expect me to be on leadership for the next 3 years, because that ain't happening. It doesn't have to be at that level. Maybe it's something that I can do for a 3-month or 1-month occasion, because it's something I love, and it just has a start and a finish to the project, and boom, I'm in it. Okay, right there with the team. As simple as helping with the U-Zone during the months of January and February, where some others go to some warmer places, or anything else. It's out there, the examples will be there, and then as I started, pray. Show me a group, not just a church. I don't care if it's the trail guards, or if it's the middle school, high school, or the U-Zone ministry, whatever the group is. Show me a group that is praying, authentically praying, not just saying these words because I have to say it at 3 o'clock. Show me a group that's praying, and things happen. God honors prayer. And so that's probably the first thing we can do today as we come to the altar.
Let me leave you with one more thing. Can I just level with you? Straight up. I've been in situations where there was a lot of things that needed to be corrected. It doesn't scare me. It's kind of tricky. Here we don't have that. We may discover a few things, but none of it's going to scare me. We can figure it out. You're very smart people. That's not what we have here. We have an opportunity to make something more. So please, if you're thinking, well, did you really level with us or not? I'm leveling with you. And I would tell you the same thing if we had some stuff to figure out. Because if a family can't talk about stuff at the kitchen table, you got issues. And our kitchen table's right here. I'm leveling with you. There's none of that. Let's get positive in thinking about what more could be done here. So thanks for letting me spend some time with you.
Amen. Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Amen. All right.